listening to What You Don't Know podcast. You're now listening to What You Don't Know podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Here we go. Another episode of the What We Don't Know podcast. This one I decided I've been dropping these pretty much every couple of weeks or so. But I'm going to start dropping these a little more often, more episodes, even if they're shorter, just to kind of stay out there, stay in front of you guys, make sure you get my perspective if you care about how I'm seeing things in the markets and in the investments, the business world and the like. I want to make sure that I just get out here and connect with the people. I really appreciate the milestone, over 1,000 listens in under a year. I really appreciate that, and it's given me the fortitude to push forward, so it's encouraging. So thank you again for that. Shout out to all of the listeners, international listeners. I'm on every continent, and I appreciate it. Hopefully you can translate my voice, and if you're in a place that's on a non-English speaking country, and I'm hoping you're hearing this message, because we are a global economy. What goes on in the U.S. affects the world, and what goes on in the world affects the U.S. So we are all one nation, one country, one international nation, when you really think about it, because we are so intertwined and our economies are dependent on each other. So I appreciate you listening, and hopefully I'm giving you something that you don't know from stateside. And I just want to let you know that I definitely appreciate it. So for this episode, we're going to talk about a couple things. One, I don't really get into a lot of things that are going on in pop culture, mainstream media, but I wanted to touch upon one thing that has kind of touched my soul. About a little over a year ago, a young rapper by the name of Pop Smoke out of Brooklyn was robbed and killed in Los Angeles, right? At his Airbnb. I don't know how the assailants actually got his information. They say it's due to his Instagram posts or social media posts that they were able to locate him and rob him. But I wanted to talk about it right now because I've been watching the case. The case is underway right now here in America. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is just the tragedy. Now that the details are really unraveling in regards to the case, it's now coming out that the rapper Pop Smoke in this robbery was shot and killed by a 15-year-old over a diamond-studded Rolex, right? And they basically said that alleged assailant testified that during the apparent homicide, again, Pop Smoke rented a Hollywood home, he demanded the rapper's jewelry. This is a 15-year-old kid, right? At first, Pop Smoke appeared to comply, but then he tried to rush the teens, and actually, and there was a confrontation broke out, in which Pop Smoke was shot in the chest. So apparently, they requested his jewelry, and they said thank you, but then Pop Smoke decided not to give the assailants the jewelry. A fight ensued. He gets shot and killed, and we know how the story ends, right? Very tragically, Pop Smoke has died. Now, I'm talking to the youngsters, the young people, right? My podcast and my goal is to really reach the youth, right? So if you're an adult, and you have a youthful person, or a young person, I should say, in your household or in your midst, this is a message that was on my heart to really give to them. So I know that they're aware of what's going on in pop culture, and they're probably aware of this information that I'm giving. I have something very in common with Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke and myself, we made the same mistake. The same mistake. I made the same mistake that Pop Smoke made, right? I remember I was about 16 years old and I was on my way to school. I had on some jewelry. I always wanted to be a fly young kid. I had on what's called a Slick Rick ring. It was a pyramid ring. I might be dating myself. Anyone knows the rapper Slick Rick, he had like the pyramid jewelry. And I had one of the pyramid rings that was given to me, or I should say, I borrowed it from my cousin Jamel, right? My cousin Jamel had all the fly jewelry. He let me wear that ring for a while, and I was wearing it to school. I also had a chain that I was wearing as well. So I was a pretty trendy young man going to school, and leather jacket. So I was looking pretty fly this one morning on the way to school, and I was on the train. This is the A train I was on. The A train was taking me from 207th Street to 180th, where my school was on 185th and Fort Washington in Washington Heights. So as I was in the last car of this train on the way to school, I was dozing off on the train. And it was about, 8 o'clock in the morning. I wake up to a gentleman on top, like basically standing over me with a knife to my neck. And at this point, he demands my chain. Says, "Give me your chain, I'm gonna stab you." And I'm looking at him and I'm hesitating. The train is full of people reading their papers, people standing there. This man is basically, I'm sitting down. So this man is pretty much just kind of pressed up on me with this knife to the right side of my neck, demanding my money. And I mean, demanding my jewelry, my chain. Now at first, like Pop Smoke, I thought to comply. Right in my mind, I said, let me just give it up. But then I said, what? Hell no. You're gonna have to kill me. So I think I said something crazy, like, go ahead. And I tried to push him off me and I got stabbed. I fought this man early morning for my jewelry. He was older than me, had a knife. I got stabbed 5 times in that melee. I got stabbed 5 times and my earlobe was basically hanging from my head with blood soaking my jacket that I had, right? I had half my earlobe was hanging. And I was stabbed about 5 times in that decision that I made to fight for my material item. The train, he pulled the emergency brake and ran off the train. He did not get my jewelry. He didn't get it. We didn't get it, but I was stabbed and I was losing blood. So I had to get off the train as well, because the train wasn't fully stopped in the station. And if New York trains, you have to, at this time you could move through the car. So I had to basically, once he pulled the emergency stop, I had to basically jump out and follow him out to the next station so I can get out of the station because the train was now stopped. So I did that. I ran upstairs, hailed the cab, jumped into the cab, told the cab to take me to Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, which was a hospital in Washington Heights. The cab driver, blood soaked, bleeding and all, drove me to the emergency room. I got out of the car and I walked myself into the emergency room while I got medical attention. So stitched up my ear, gave me some stitches in my stab wounds that were deep. Most of them were. I got stitches in my head, stitches on my leg, stitches in two of my legs, a couple stitches in my legs. And of course, they had to stitch on my earlobe. So there were some stitches there to surgically repair my earlobe that was hanging down. So why do I tell you this grisly, gory story that happened to me when I was 16? Because when I hear that Pop Smoke, the details of the Pop Smoke situation, where he thought to comply and didn't give it up, it cost him his life, and it also almost cost me mine. For these individuals robbing us or demanding our items or worldly goods, it's not worth our lives. So, young men and women, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're becoming the victim and they have the drop on you, they have you pretty much can't win that whatever situation you're in, right? In my situation, again, I'm getting robbed for my jewelry. Pop Smoke's situation, he was getting robbed for his jewelry. I still lived with some wounds that I still have today. If you look at me now, you can still see where my stitches are in my earlobe. I walk with those memories that's happened to me when I was about 16 years old, right? Because I did not give up my material items. I have to walk around with those scars to the day I die, right? I feel I'm more fortunate than Pop Smoke, right? Because Pop Smoke he didn't survive. He succumbed to his bullet wounds, and I didn't. The stab wounds, yeah, they healed. That happened a long time ago. But when I heard that story, I felt compelled to share my story with my listeners as well, because Pop Smoke and I, we have this in common. Very, very unfortunate in which we should have made the decision to part with our items, and hopefully, I guess they could have shot him anyway. I guess they could have killed him anyway. I guess my assailant could have stabbed me anyway. But I think that us choosing to defend worldly items was not a good decision. Okay? So, young ladies and gentlemen, if you ever find yourself again in that situation, give it up. Give them what they want. You can buy another item. You can buy another watch. You can buy another chain. You can buy whatever worldly item you desire. You can rebuy it if you're alive, right? I had 3 chains after that one, since it's 15 years old, right? Still here. I learned if you ever find yourself in that situation, do not defend it, give it up. Your life is worth too much, okay? It's not that important, all right? So with that, I just wanted to tell that. So now we're going to move into the real business aspect of the podcast. Here we go. So one of the things that I really wanted to get into, especially on the heels of the last episode, in which I talked about three surefire ways to protect your portfolio in a rising in an inflationary environment. One of the things I really want listeners to think about, as you can see, the markets have been reacting very, crazily. The markets have been down the last couple of days, and we're seeing a lot of volatility in the financial markets. People are saying that this correction, we're due for a correction. And especially if you look at some of the growth stocks that there may be an argument they're overvalued, right? Right there, some fast moving stocks like Tesla, or some of you're pretty much new to the market, but then have seen some rapid appreciation. Maybe that was a little bit premature, right? In certain sectors and with certain stocks. So one of the things that I really want you guys to think about and really focus on, if you're really paying attention to what's going on in the markets, is this rotation to value investing, right? So a lot of times we can look at growth investing, like I mentioned before with Tesla, and basically focusing on stocks that are fundamentally growing, moving fast. Maybe their revenues have been performing well, and they're growing in overall size, capacity, earnings, things like that. These are fundamental things you're probably looking at when you think about growth stocks, right? But value investing is different. When you're thinking about value investing, that's an investment strategy that's going to focus on stocks that are underappreciated or undervalued by investors in the market overall, right? The stocks that value investors seek typically look cheap or inexpensive compared to the underlying revenue and earnings from their businesses. Investors who use value investing strategy are hoping that the stock price will rise as more people come to appreciate the real value, or intrinsic value, as they say, of the company's fundamental business. So if you look at, and one of the biggest investors, or value investors, I should say, is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett tends to invest in companies that that have had a tried and true track record, have been around for years, products that are mainstays and staples in our daily lives, and stocks that, again, he feels that are undervalued and are due to rise on a long-term basis, right? So when you think of what makes a great value stock, or defining characteristic, it has to have an inexpensive valuation compared to the value of its assets, right? Right? Compared to what it has to have, compared to its assets, it has to be inexpensive, the value itself, or even its key metrics such as revenue, earnings, cash flow, right? So, however, the best value stocks also have attractive characteristics that make them appealing to investors who have the strategy. Like I said, consistent profitability, well-established businesses, stable revenue. Maybe they pay a dividend, right? Things like that. So you're trying to basically find stocks that have good intrinsic value, that have been underappreciated in the market, and you're trying to benefit from that, right? And let's face it, everyone likes a bargain. Everyone likes something that's on sale. And because value investing seeks stocks selling at a discount, this strategy appeals more to those who like to get good deals. So, as maybe a defensive investor, a good value stock can provide both protection against losing money and the potential for cash. And once the stock market recognizes the stock's true value. So what type of stocks, or what type of sectors are fitting in this value arena? We really have to pay attention to what's going on from a macroeconomic perspective, right? Some of the things that are going on, like Biden has went out there and they're fighting for this multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure plan. Okay, are you looking at some tried and true construction companies? I don't know, Caterpillar, Halliburton, just throwing some names out there that can possibly benefit from this infrastructure. Are you listening to what's going on? Are you positioning yourself for this, right? Are you following the money? We know some people create businesses based upon certain government moves that may impact a certain sector, right? Just Biden in this infrastructure plan, I think there's something that's allocated to home health. Are we going to see a rise in home health agencies? I think so. Are there some stocks that are mainstays in the home health or health field or healthcare field that you can identify? I'm sure. Okay, so let's even talk about some more. And what this is my favorite. And this is, again, just one person's thoughts or just understanding the market. I've been in the market for about 20 years myself, worked for some of the largest institutions, have educated myself at the master's level and even teach at the master's level. I do this, right? I'm involved in the financial markets. I understand, and I'm a student of this game, right? So that's why I love sharing my perspective on it. So one of the things that I'm very excited about, I don't feel like I need a drum roll, right? And when it comes to value investing, underperformed, underappreciated at this point. Look at what Warren Buffett did. If you didn't know, I'll just bring you up to speed, right? I'm saving you time from going to from going to the last shareholders meeting, or even understanding the shift that he made in his portfolio. The big shift that he did, one of the biggest or significant changes in his portfolio that I saw and that really caught my attention was him selling some of his traditional banks. I think he sold almost 100% of his Wells Fargo, another banking institution. Didn't see that he sold any of his Bank of America, but he sold, I think 100% of Wells Fargo and a significant amount of another financial institution in his current portfolio. And what did he do with the money? What did he buy? He bought Square. I believe he increased his position in PayPal. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that there's a lot of intrinsic value in these online payment systems. When you look at PayPal, when you look at Square, this Cash App, this is where banking is going. And Warren Buffett is showing you with his dollars. This man, institutional dollars are moving into these types of financial online institutions, right? You can't deny that. So maybe you look at Square, maybe you look at PayPal. There's a pre-IPO right now, Stripe, in the private equity space. I work with the private equity fund, and Stripe is one of the pre-IPOs that we have available. We're seeing a lot of demand, a lot of demand from accredited investors, because Stripe is the institutional PayPal, right? It basically makes the monetary conversion from different countries for any goods and items that someone may sell on their platform very easy. And Stripe is leading the charge. You have another one out there, Plaid. Plaid is another pre-IPO, making online payments very smooth and easy. This is where we're going. These are undervalued. Look at Spotify. I think somebody might look at Spotify and say, at this rate, it's expensive. But if you look at their assets and their potential and their revenue now and where they're going, and they're increasing their market share, that could be a $300 stock. It could be. So for it to be 200 or wherever it is now, you never know. These can still be undervalued securities. And I think that if you are looking to shift from growth, because growth has done well, it has exponentially grown, and some may argue that have grown too fast, and now we're seeing some correction and some pullback in growth. But there seems to be a rotation of value. Okay, so again, just on the back end of my episode, my last episode, in which I gave you three clear ways to try to protect your money with all these rising prices, and how you could take advantage with higher prices. This is a way. Look at value. Maybe you need to think about the underappreciated or stocks selling at a discount to their intrinsic value, and you can benefit. Think about value investing. Go ahead, Google it. Get acquainted, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. So hey, that's my time today. I hope you learned a little bit about me and my history and what not to do when your material items are demanded from you, like Pop Smoke. You don't want to make the same decision that Pop Smoke and myself made. Even though I made that when I was a very young man, cost him his life, and it cost me some blood and a traumatic experience. And also wanted to talk. We talked about investing and value investing, what it is, and why you may want to look at it, along with some stocks and some sectors to look at. So I hope you got something out of it. It's been great. Again, thank you for all of the listens. We're over 1,000 listens, and I appreciate every single one of you, from Japan to Poland, South America, all the countries and all the states that are listening to my voice. I appreciate you. And until next time, peace.